The stars looked different from the viewing deck of the Harmony. Captain Kim-tae stood with his hands behind his back, watching the distant lights. The year was 2387, and humans had spread to 27 star systems. They called themselves the United Terran Coalition now. "Captain, we are approaching the border," said Officer Bakru from the control station. Captain Kim nodded. "Standard patrol speed. Let's not make our neighbors nervous." The Harmony was not a warship. It carried weapons, yes, but small ones just enough to defend itself. Its real job was to show the flag and collect information. The ship's white hull carried the blue and green symbol of Earth, making it clear who they were. "Sir, I'm picking up something unusual," said Dr. Park Yoon, looking up from her science station. Her dark eyes reflected the blue light of her screen. "There's an asteroid belt ahead that's not on our charts." Captain Kim walked over to her station. "Show me." Dr. Park pressed a few buttons, and a 3D map appeared. It showed hundreds of rocks, floating in space where there should have been nothing. "That's odd," Captain Kim said. "How did we miss this before?" "I don't know, sir, but there's more." Dr. Park adjusted some settings. "I'm detecting energy readings from inside the belt. Something artificial." Captain Kim thought for a moment. The border with the Valkyrie Dominion was only 2 light hours away. The Valkyrie were tall, four-armed aliens who had met humans 50 years ago. They weren't friends, but they weren't enemies either. At least, not yet. "Could it be a Valkyrie outpost?" he asked. "Possibly," said Dr. Park. "But why hide it in an asteroid belt that's not on any maps?" Captain Kim made his decision. "Move us closer, but slowly. Full scans, but keep our weapons powered down. I want to know what's in there." On the bridge, Han Mi, the ship's communications officer, sent a message to Earth Coalition Command. "This is Harmony. We are investigating an uncharted asteroid field near the Rigel system. We'll report findings. No signs of trouble." Han Mi was young only, 26 years old. Her father was Admiral Han Sung, one of the highest-ranking officers in the Coalition fleet. She had his same determined eyes and calm voice. She had joined the Harmony to prove herself on her own merits, not her father's name. As the Harmony moved closer to the asteroid belt, nobody on board knew they were being watched. Inside the largest asteroid, Supreme Commander Gyrick of the Valkyrie Dominion observed the approaching human ship. His forearms were crossed over his chest in a gesture of displeasure. His yellow eyes narrowed. "They have found our research station," he said to his second-in-command. "It was only a matter of time," replied Commander Meftal. "The energy shield can hide us from distant scans, but not from a direct investigation." Gyrick hissed through his teeth. "What are they doing?" "Scanning us, Supreme Commander. Their weapons are not active." Gyrick walked to the large viewing screen. The human ship looked small and fragile. The Valkyrie had been watching humans for decades. These pink-skinned aliens had spread quickly from their home system, faster than any species the Valkyrie had encountered before. It worried Gyrick. "Do you know what the humans say about themselves?" Gyrick asked. "They say they come in peace, but everywhere they go, they build, they take, they multiply." "This is just a research vessel," Meftal said. "Perhaps they truly are just curious." Gyrick's upper hands clenched into fists. "No, they are mapping our defenses, testing our borders. First, they send ships like this one. Then come their colonies, then their warships." "What are your orders?" Supreme Commander Gyrick's mind was made up. "Call the battle group. Tell them we have found human spies. We will make an example of them." Back on the Harmony, Captain Kim was getting concerned. "Whatever is in that asteroid belt, it's big," Dr. Park reported. "The energy readings suggest a base of some kind, but there's interference blocking our detailed scans." "Sir," Officer Bax suddenly called out, "I'm detecting ships approaching from Sector 7. Captain Kim turned sharply. "Valkyrie?" "Yes, sir. 3 warships, moving fast." Captain Kim kept his voice steady, though his heart was racing. "Han Mi, open a channel. Let them know we are on a peaceful mission." Han Mi's fingers moved quickly over her console. "Channel open, sir. This is Captain Kim-tae of the Coalition vessel Harmony. We are conducting a routine patrol and scientific survey. We mean no harm." The only response was silence. "They're powering weapons, sir," Bax shouted. "Shields up," ordered Captain Kim. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers." The Harmony turned, its engines glowing bright as it tried to move away from the approaching warships, but the Valkyrie vessels were faster, designed for war, while the Harmony was built for science and diplomacy. "Sir, they're not responding to any messages," Han Mi reported, her voice tight with tension. The first blast hit the Harmony's shields, making the whole ship shake. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Shields at 60%, called out." Officer back. Captain Kim grabbed the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, prepare for emergency jump. Engine room, give me everything you've got." But the Valkyrie ships had moved to surround them. A second blast hit them from behind, then a third from the side, shields failing. Back reported as smoke began to fill the bridge. Han Mi sent one final message. Coalition Command. We are under attack by Valkyrie forces. Coordinates follow. We need immediate. Her message cut off as a direct hit rocked the ship, throwing people from their seats. Captain Kim helped Han Mi up from the floor. Blood ran down her face from a cut on her forehead. We can't outrun them, Dr. Park said, checking the ship's status. And we can't fight 3 warships. Captain Kim looked at his crew, 80 people, on the bridge, with 262 more throughout the ship, all of them looking to him for leadership. Prepare the escape pods, he ordered. We'll split up, make it harder for them to catch everyone. But even as he gave the order, he knew it was too late. The Valkyrie ships were too close, too determined. The next blast hit the Harmony's engine core. The explosion tore through the ship like a hot knife. Captain Kim's last sight was of his bridge crew, Han Mi still at her station, trying to send one last message home. Dr. Park working desperately to save what data she could. Officer Back attempting to give them just a few more seconds of power. To the shields, then everything was fire and darkness. Hours later, as the wreckage of the Harmony drifted in space, a Valkyrie scout ship searched for survivors. There were none to be found. Inside his command center, Supreme Commander Gyrick received the report with satisfaction. The human vessel has been destroyed. All crew eliminated. Was it necessary to kill them all? Asked Meftal quietly. We could have taken prisoners. No witnesses, Gyrick said firmly. The humans must learn to stay in their own territory. They will receive our message clearly. Do not test the Valkyrie Dominion. What Gyrick didn't know was that the Harmony's final distress call had reached Earth, and among those who received it was Admiral Han Sung, who heard his daughter's voice, cut off mid-sentence as her ship was destroyed. The humans had indeed received a message, but not the one Gyrick intended. The room was quiet when Admiral Han Sung entered. The United Terran Coalition Defense Council sat around a large oval table, 12 men and women who controlled the largest military force humans had ever built. Today, they all watched Admiral Han with sad eyes. He stood straight, his gray uniform perfect, his face showing nothing. But inside, his heart felt torn apart. Just 3 days ago, he had heard his daughter's last words as the Harmony was destroyed. Admiral, said President Li Du, the head of the coalition, we are very sorry for your loss. Admiral Han nodded once. Thank you, Madam President, but I am not here as a father today. I am here as the fleet commander. He pressed a button, and a screen on the wall lit up. It showed the last images sent by the Harmony before it was destroyed. The Valkyrie attacked without warning, Admiral Han said. His voice was calm, but his hands were tight fists at his sides. The Harmony was a research vessel with minimal weapons. It posed no threat. Could this have been a mistake? Asked General Yukman, head of the ground forces. Maybe they thought the Harmony was a different ship. Admiral Han shook his head. No, we have reviewed the data. The Valkyrie targeted the Harmony deliberately. They knew exactly what they were doing. President Lee looked troubled. Admiral, what are you suggesting? The Valkyrie have tested us before, Admiral Han said. Small border incidents, missing ships. But nothing this bold. They are watching to see how we respond. He walked to the window that looked out over New Seoul, Earth's new capital, after the old one was destroyed in the climate wars. The city gleamed in the morning sun. If we do nothing, Admiral Han continued, they will see it as weakness. There will be more attacks, more deaths. The room was silent for a long moment. Then President Lee spoke. What do you propose, Admiral? Admiral Han turned back to face the council. Operation Thunderfall, the full mobilization of the fleet. Several council members looked shocked. General Yuk stood up. The full fleet, that's 217 ships. We've never deployed that many at once. Exactly, said Admiral Han. The Valkyrie have never seen our true strength. They think we are weak because we prefer peace. It's time they learned how wrong they are. President Lee studied Admiral Han's face. This is not about revenge, is it, Admiral? For a moment, Admiral Han thought of his daughter, Han Mi, her smile, her voice on the come, cut off forever. No, Madam President, he said. This is about showing the galaxy that humans will not be easy targets. We tried peace. Now we must show strength. After 2 hours of discussion, the council voted. Operation Thunderfall was approved. As Admiral Han left the meeting, General Yuk caught up with him in the hallway. The Valkyrie killed your daughter, General Yuk said quietly. I understand why you want this. Admiral Han looked at his old friend. This isn't about what I want. It's about what humanity needs. The Valkyrie must learn that actions have consequences. General Yuk nodded slowly. I'll prepare my troops. Within 24 hours, a message went out to every human military base in the 27 star systems. Ships that had been on patrol or in dock began to move. Crews were called back from leave. Weapons were loaded. Fuel tanks were filled. On the Mars Military Academy training grounds, Captain Kong Jun watched his students suit up for real combat for the first time. These young men and women had been practicing for years. Now they would fight for real. Remember your training, Captain Kong told them. Stay focused. stay together. A young cadet raised her hand. Sir, is it true that the Valkyrie have better ships than us? Captain Kong shook his head. Their ships are different, not better. They rely on energy, weapons, and speed. We have stronger hulls and better shields, and we have something they don't. What's that, sir? Asked another cadet. Captain Kong smiled. Slightly surprised, they think they know what humans can do. They're wrong. In orbit around Jupiter, the flagship Retribution prepared for war. Admiral Han stood on the bridge, watching as other ships joined his fleet. The Retribution was the largest warship humans had ever built, nearly a kilometer long. It carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. His second-in-command, Captain Bay-Ra, approached with a datapad. Final count. Sir, we have 78 warships, 42 support vessels, and 97 fighter carriers in this battle group alone. 2 other groups are forming at Alpha Centauri and Tau Ceti. Admiral Han nodded. And the new weapons, installed and tested on all major ships, Captain Bay confirmed. The quantum interference devices worked perfectly in simulations. The Valkyrie will have nothing like them. For the first time in days, Admiral Han felt something like hope. The quantum interference technology had been a closely guarded secret, developed over 10 years. It could disable enemy ships without destroying them, freezing their systems temporarily. We don't want to destroy the Valkyrie, Admiral Han said. Just show them that they can't push us around. Captain Bay hesitated. Sir, permission to speak freely. Go ahead. Some of the crew. They want revenge. For the Harmony, Admiral Han looked out at the stars. I understand how they feel. But this mission is not about revenge. It's about justice and security. Make sure they understand that. On the Valkyrie homeworld, Supreme Commander Garrick received disturbing news. What do you mean? The humans are moving ships, he demanded. Military advisor, Volok, older and wiser than his commander, looked worried. Reports from all our border stations say the same thing. Human ships are gathering. Many ships. Garrick waved one of his forehands dismissively. Let them. Our fleet is stronger. Our warriors are braver. Supreme Commander Volok said carefully. Perhaps we should consider offering reparations for the research vessel. The humans are primitive, but they are numerous. Garrick's yellow eyes narrowed dangerously. Are you suggesting I was wrong to destroy their spy ship? Volok stepped back quickly. No, Supreme Commander. I merely suggest caution. We know very little about human war capabilities. They have been peaceful in their expansion. Their ships are technologically inferior, Garrick said. Their weapons are basic. They will not dare challenge the Valkyrie Dominion directly. As you say, Supreme Commander, Volok replied, bowing with all 4 arms crossed over his chest. But as he left Garrick's chamber, worry filled his mind. The Valkyrie had studied humans for 50 years, but always from a distance. Humans were strange creatures. They seemed peaceful, yet they had survived terrible wars on their home planet. They seemed weak, with only 2 arms and soft skin. Yet they had spread through space faster than any species the Valkyrie had ever encountered. Walked to the military command center and quietly ordered increased patrols along the border. He hoped Garrick was right about the humans. He feared he was not. Back on the Retribution, Admiral Han Sung stood before a wall of pictures. The faces of all 342 crew members who had died on the Harmony. Young faces, hopeful faces. His daughter's face among them. We're ready, sir, said Captain Bay from behind him. The fleet awaits your orders. Admiral Han touched his daughter's picture one last time. Then he turned, his face set with determination. Send the jump coordinates to all ships, he ordered. We move at dawn. As the message went out, 217 ships across human space prepared for war. Not for conquest, not for revenge, for justice. Space around the Valkyrie border was quiet. Then, all at once, it wasn't. 7 wormholes opened simultaneously across Valkyrie space. Out of each hole came human warships, their engines glowing blue against the blackness of space. It was the largest human fleet ever assembled. In the lead ship Retribution, Admiral Han Sung gave the order. All ships, move to your targets. Operation Thunderfall begins now. The human ships split into 7 battle groups. Each group had a different target. Admiral Han led the largest group toward Nextar, the main Valkyrie shipyard. This was where the Valkyrie built their warships. It was their pride. They don't know we're coming, said Captain Bay-Ra, checking the sensors. Their defense systems haven't activated yet. Admiral Han nodded. Good. Colonel Choi, is your team ready? On a smaller screen, Colonel Choi Jin appeared. He wore black armor with no markings. His team of 20 soldiers stood behind him, equally dark and silent. Ready, Admiral, Colonel Choi replied. We launch in 3 minutes. Admiral Han looked at the large display showing Nexar. The shipyard was massive, a ring of metal around a small moon. Dozens of Valkyrie warships floated nearby, still being built or repaired. Remember, Admiral Han told his crew, we are not here to destroy everything. We are here to show strength. Target their weapons and engines, not their life support. The Valkar defense station orbiting Nexar, alarm sirens began to wail. Multiple unknown ships detected, shouted a Valkyrie officer. They appeared out of nowhere. Commander Tekvar rushed to the main screen. How many? At least 30, sir. And more. Appearing Tekvar couldn't believe what he was seeing. Ships weren't supposed to be able to jump that close to a planet. It was supposed to be impossible. Raise shields. Power up the defense grid. Call all ships to battle stations. But even as he gave the orders, a warning light flashed on the console. Sir, something's wrong with the defense grid. It's not responding. Colonel Choijin's stealth ship slipped through the confusion. It was small, just big enough for his team of 20. Its special coating made it almost invisible to Valkyrie sensors. Approaching target, said the pilot, Lieutenant OM gun. No sign they've spotted us. Colonel Choi checked his weapon, a pulse rifle that fired energy bolts. Take us in close to the main power hub. The stealth ship glided toward a large structure. On the side of the defense station, this was the heart of the Valkyrie defense grid, controlling the shields and weapons for the entire shipyard. In position, Lieutenant OHN reported. Ready when you are. Colonel Choi stood. Team, remember your training. Get in. Plant the device. Get out. No unnecessary fighting. His team nodded silently. The ship attached to the station with a soft thud. Special cutters opened a hole in the station's hull. No alarms sounded. The Valkyrie didn't know they were there. Colonel Choi led his team through the hole. They moved quickly through the empty corridors. The Valkyrie were too busy looking at the human fleet to notice the intruders inside their own station. They reached the main power room. 2 Valkyrie guards stood at the door. Take them quietly, Colonel Choi ordered. 2 of his soldiers moved forward. They fired darts that put the guards to sleep instantly. No sound, no warning. Inside the power room, Colonel Choi took out a small device. It was black and smooth, about the size of his hand. This was the quantum interference device, the secret weapon humans had developed over 10 years. He placed it on the main power core and pressed a button. The device glowed blue, then seemed to sink into the core itself. Device planted, he reported through his com. Activating now. He pressed another button on his wrist control. Across the entire Nextar system, Valkyrie ships suddenly lost power. Their shields flickered and died. Their weapons went silent. Even their engines sputtered and failed. The human fleet had just changed the rules of war. Lieutenant Yun-Su sat in the cockpit of her fighter. Around her, in the launch bay of the carrier ship, Swift Justice, 50 other pilots waited for the signal. All fighters, prepare for launch, came the order over the com. Defense grid is down. This is not a drill. Lieutenant Yun felt her heart beat faster. She had trained for years for this moment. Her fighter was the newest model, the Wasp class. Small, fast, and deadly. Launch, launch, launch. The controller called. Lieutenant Yun pushed the throttle. Forward. Her fighter shot out of the launch bay like a bullet. Behind her, 50 more fighters followed. Blue Squadron, form up on me, she ordered. Target the closest Valkyrie warships. Remember, engines and weapons only. The human fighters moved in perfect formation. They were much smaller than the Valkyrie ships, but they were fast. So fast that Valkyrie tracking systems couldn't keep up. Lieutenant Yun rolled her fighter to avoid enemy fire. The Valkyrie ships were trying to defend themselves, but without their main defense grid, they were firing blindly. Blue 3 and 4. With me, she called. We're going for that cruiser. 3 human fighters swooped toward a Valkyrie cruiser. The large ship tried to turn, tried to bring its weapons to bear, but the human fighters were too quick. Lieutenant Yun fired her pulse cannons. Blue energy bolts hit the cruiser's engine section. The other fighters targeted the weapon mounts. Within seconds, the massive Valkyrie ship was drifting, powerless. Across the battlefield, the same scene played out dozens of times. Human fighters darting between much larger Valkyrie ships. Quick, flick, strikes, precision hits. This is Blue Leader, Lieutenant Yun reported. 3 more ships disabled. No casualties on our side. On the Valkyrie homeworld, Supreme Commander Gyrick stared in shock at the reports. 43 ships lost. In 1 hour. Impossible. Military Advisor Vulok's face was grim. Not lost. Supreme Commander, disabled. The humans are not destroying our ships. They are simply stopping them. How? Demanded Gyrick. How are they doing this? We don't know, admitted Vulok. Our ships report some kind of energy pulse that shuts down their systems. Nothing like it has ever been seen before. Gyrick slammed all 4 of his fists on the table. Send everything we have, every ship, crush these humans. Vulok hesitated. Supreme Commander, I advise caution. The humans have surprised us once. They may have other surprises. Do it, screamed Gyrick. I will not be defeated by these 2 armed primitives. Back on the Retribution, Admiral Han watched as the battle unfolded. The quantum interference technology was working better than expected. Valkyrie ships were being disabled without being destroyed. Sir, reported Captain Bay, Colonel Choi's team has returned safely. Lieutenant Yoon's fighters have disabled ships. Our main fleet has secured the outer defenses of Nek. Admiral Han nodded. And our casualties? Minimal, sir. 3 fighters damaged. No ships lost. For the first time since his daughter's death, Admiral Han allowed himself a small smile. The plan was working. The Valkyrie were learning a hard lesson. Sir, called out the sensor officer. We're detecting a large force of Valkyrie ships heading this way. Looks like their entire home fleet. Admiral Han's smile faded. So they want to continue this fight. Very well. Signal all battle groups. Phase 2 begins now. Across human space, reserve ships that had been waiting jumped into the battle. Fresh fighters launched. New weapons were brought online. The real test was about to begin. The space battle raged for 3 days. Human ships moved like they were dancing, always one step ahead of the Valkyrie. The new quantum technology turned Valkyrie warships into floating metal boxes, unable to fight back. Military advisor stood in the Valkyrie High Command Center, watching the disaster unfold on large screens. Hundreds of Valkyrie ships had been disabled. The humans were pushing deeper into Valkyrie space every hour. We must retreat to the core systems. Volok told Supreme Commander Gyrick. We cannot stop them here. Gyrick's yellow eyes burned with anger. Retreat. The Valkyrie do not retreat. The Valkyrie have never faced an enemy like this, Volok said firmly. If we don't pull back, we will lose everything. For a long moment, Gyrick was silent. Then he nodded once. Send the order. All ships fall back to defend the home system. As the Valkyrie ships began their retreat, Volok walked to a private room. He needed to understand what was happening. How could humans, a species the Valkyrie had always seen as weak, be winning so easily? He connected to the main database and began searching for information about humans. Most of what the Valkyrie knew came from watching human broadcasts and studying human ships from a distance. But there was something they had missed. Volok found it in an old report from 50 years ago, when Valkyrie scouts first discovered Earth. The report had one line that caught his attention. Planet has 1.3 times standard gravity. Volok checked the numbers again. Humans had evolved on a world with higher gravity than most life-bearing planets. That meant their bodies were naturally stronger. Their ships would be built to withstand more pressure. Their reflexes would be faster. We never understood what we were facing, Volok whispered to himself. Captain Kim Min sat in the command chair of the scout ship Swift Arrow. His mission was different from the main battle. While the fleet pushed the Valkyrie back, his small ship had slipped behind enemy lines. We're approaching the target, said his navigator, Officer Song Ha. Sensors show minimal defenses. They've sent most of their ships to the front. Captain Kim nodded. Good. Everyone remember why we're here. Intelligence believes the Valkyrie have human prisoners at this facility. We get in, find our people, and get out. The Swift Arrow was perfect for this mission. It was small, fast, and had the newest stealth systems. The Valkyrie wouldn't see them coming. Preparing boarding teams, reported Security Chief Back Du. 20 soldiers ready. Captain Kim looked at the image of the Valkyrie research station on his screen. It orbited a small moon in a forgotten corner of Valkyrie space. The station was shaped like a wheel with 6 spokes leading to a center hub. Take us in, Captain Kim ordered. Silent approach. The Swift Arrow glided toward the station, its engines barely glowing. No alarm sounded. No weapons fired at them. The Valkyrie were too busy with the main human fleet to notice one small ship. When they reached the station, the Swift Arrow attached to an outer airlock. Security Chief Back led the boarding team, with Captain Kim right behind them. Cut through. Here, Captain Kim ordered, pointing to the airlock door. The soldiers used special tools to open the door without making noise. They moved into the station, weapons ready. The first Valkyrie they met was a scientist, not a soldier. He stared at the humans in shock, all 4 arms raised in surrender. Where are the human prisoners? Captain Kim demanded. The Valkyrie scientist pointed down a corridor with one trembling hand. Captain Kim and his team moved quickly through the station. They found only a few guards, who surrendered without fighting. The Valkyrie knew they were losing the war. They had no desire to die for a lost cause. At the end of a long corridor, they found what they were looking for. A door marked with symbols. That meant research subjects. Open it, Captain Kim ordered. Inside were 20 humans in simple gray clothes. They looked thin and tired, but alive. Some had scars on their faces or arms, showing they had been hurt during tests. We're from the United Terran Coalition, Captain Kim told them. We're here to take you home. A woman stepped forward. Her face was pale, but her eyes were strong. I'm Dr. Lim's son. My research ship was taken 8 months ago. We thought everyone had forgotten us. No one was forgotten, Captain Kim assured her. We just needed time to find you. As they led the freed prisoners back to the Swift Arrow, Dr. Lim told Captain Kim what had happened. The Valkyrie have been taking human ships for years, she explained. Small ships in remote areas where no one would notice. They wanted to study us, to learn our weaknesses. Why? Asked Captain Kim. Dr. Lim's face was grim. They fear us. They've been watching Earth for decades. They saw our wars, how quickly we recover from disasters, how fast we spread to new planets. They think we're dangerous. Captain Kim thought about the battle being fought across Valkyrie space. Maybe they were right to be afraid. On the Retribution, Admiral Han Sung received the news of Captain Kim's successful rescue mission. 20 humans rescued, sir, reported Captain Bay. And they've confirmed what we suspected. The Valkyrie have been taking our people for years. Admiral Han's face showed no emotion, but his hands tightened on the arms of his chair. First his daughter on the Harmony. Now these prisoners. How many more humans had suffered because of Valkyrie fear? Sir, Captain Bay continued, the Valkyrie main fleet has retreated to their home system. Our forward ships report they're gathering around their homeworld. What are your orders? Admiral Han stood and walked to the main view screen. It showed the positions of all human ships, spread across Valkyrie space like stars in the night sky. In 3 days, they had taken control of nearly half the Valkyrie Dominion. Open a channel to all ships, he ordered. When the channel was ready, Admiral Han spoke to the entire human fleet. This is Admiral Han. For 3 days, we have shown the Valkyrie the mistake they made when they attacked the Harmony. They thought we were weak because we sought peace. They have learned otherwise. He paused, looking at the map of conquered Valkyrie worlds. But we are not here to destroy. We are not here for revenge. We are here for justice. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not be preyed upon. We are not conquerors, but neither will we tolerate aggression against our people. Admiral Han turned to Captain Bay. Prepare the fleet for the final push. We're going to the Valkyrie homeworld. Captain Bay looked surprised. Will we attack, sir? Admiral Han shook his head. No, we will show them something they don't expect. Mercy. As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for the final move, news reached them from the captured Valkyrie stations. The Valkyrie people were afraid. They believed humans would destroy their world, as they thought the Valkyrie would have done if positions were reversed. They didn't understand humans yet, but they would learn. The human fleet moved toward the Valkyrie homeworld, not to conquer, not to destroy, to teach. The Valkyrie homeworld looked beautiful from space. It was mostly blue, like Earth, but with patches of red land instead of green. Clouds swirled in its atmosphere. Lights from cities twinkled on the night side. Around this world, 300 Valkyrie ships formed a defensive ring. They were the last defense of the Valkyrie people, and surrounding them, in perfect formation, was the entire human fleet. 217 warships, their weapons aimed at the Valkyrie world. On the bridge of the Retribution, Admiral Han Sung looked at the planet on his view screen. Their weapons are active, reported Captain Bayra, but they're not firing. They're waiting to see what we do. Admiral Han nodded. And what do they expect us to do, Captain? They expect us to destroy them. Captain Bay said quietly. It's what they would do in our position. Admiral Han stood from his command chair. Then let's surprise them. Prepare a single shuttle. I want a message sent to the Valkyrie High Council. Many of the bridge crew looked surprised. They had expected a final battle, not a message. Sir, Captain Bay asked, what message? Tell them that Colonel Choi Jin and Dr. Bay's son request a meeting with the Valkyrie High Council. Tell them we come to talk, not to destroy. Captain Bay looked uncertain. Is that wise, sir? Sending our people down there? Admiral Han looked at the planet again. Sometimes the greatest show of strength is the willingness to take a risk for peace. On the Valkyrie homeworld, the High Council argued loudly. All 12 council members spoke at once, their forearms waving for attention. We should fight to the last ship, shouted one. The humans will destroy our world, cried another. Perhaps we can surrender with honor, suggested a third. Military advisor Volok stood silently, waiting for the noise to die down. Finally, the head counselor banged his staff on the floor. Silence. Advisor Volok has news. Volok stepped forward. The humans have sent a message. They wish to send 2 representatives to speak with the council. They say they come to talk, not to destroy. The council chamber erupted in noise again. It's a trick. They want to study our defenses. We should kill their representatives as they killed our scouts. Volok raised all 4 hands for silence. The humans could destroy our world right now if they wanted to. Their fleet surrounds us. Our defenses cannot stop them. Yet they ask to talk. I believe we should listen. Supreme Commander Gyrick, who had been called to the council meeting, stepped forward angrily. The humans are weak. Their offer to talk proves it. We should refuse and fight to the end. The head counselor looked at Gyrick with cold eyes. Your actions brought us to this disaster. Commander, perhaps it is time to try something else. After more debate, the council voted. They would meet with the human representatives. The human shuttle landed in the main square of the Valkyrie capital city. Thousands of Valkyrie watched from a distance as the small ship's door opened. Colonel Choijin stepped out first, his uniform crisp and his face calm. Behind him came Dr. Bay's son, a woman with gentle eyes but a determined walk. They were escorted by just 2 human soldiers. The Valkyrie crowd murmured in surprise. They had expected monsters. These humans looked so, normal, small, yes, with only 2 arms. But they walked with confidence, not fear, in the High Council chamber. Colonel Choi and Dr. Bay stood before the 12 Valkyrie leaders. Supreme Commander Gyrick stood to one side, his yellow eyes full of hate. "We come on behalf of the United Terran Coalition," Colonel Choi began. "We bring terms for peace." "Terms," growled Gyrick. "You invaded our space. You disabled our ships. And now you speak of terms." Dr. Bay stepped forward. "We came because you destroyed one of our ships without warning, a research vessel called the Harmony. You killed 342 innocent people. They were spying on our secret base," Gyrick shouted. Dr. Bay held up a small device. "May I show the council something?" The head counselor nodded. Dr. Bay activated the device. A hologram appeared, showing the final moments of the Harmony. The ship scanning an asteroid field, the Valkyrie warships appearing. The destruction of the Harmony without any attempt to communicate. "The Harmony was on a routine patrol," Dr. Bay explained. "It found your base by accident and made no aggressive moves. It tried to communicate with your ships." She changed the hologram. Now it showed images from the Valkyrie research station where Captain Kim had rescued the human prisoners. "We also found evidence that Valkyrie military ships have been capturing human vessels for years, without the knowledge or approval of your own government. According to the records we found." The council members looked shocked. They turned to Gyrick. "Is this true, Commander?" demanded the head counselor. "Have you been conducting unauthorized operations against the humans?" Gyrick's face showed fear for the first time. "I acted to protect the Dominion. The humans are a threat." Colonel Choi spoke again. "We never wanted war with the Valkyrie. We still don't, but we will not allow our people to be killed without consequence." He placed a datapad on the table before the council. "These are our terms. First, the Valkyrie will withdraw from the contested border systems. Second, you will pay reparations for the families of those killed on the Harmony and those taken prisoner. Third, we will establish a cultural exchange program to prevent future misunderstandings." The head counselor read the terms carefully. "And if we agree to these terms, then the human fleet will withdraw," Colonel Choi said. "We will return all disabled Valkyrie ships, and we will work toward peaceful relations between our peoples." The council whispered among themselves. The terms were surprisingly fair. The humans could have demanded much more. Military advisor Vulak spoke up. "May I ask a question? You could destroy our world. Why don't you?" Dr. Bay smiled sadly. "Because that's not who we are. Humans fight when we must. But we prefer peace, when possible." The council voted quickly. They accepted the human terms. As for Supreme Commander Gyrick, he was removed from power immediately. His unauthorized actions had nearly destroyed the Valkyrie Dominion. 1 year later, Admiral Han Sung visited the new Human Valkyrie Cooperation Center. It had been built on the border between human and Valkyrie space, on a small planet that both species could live on comfortably. In the main hall stood a memorial. It showed the Harmony, carved in stone. Below it were the names of all 342 crew members who had died. Admiral Han touched his daughter's name gently. Military advisor now the Valkyrie ambassador to humans, stood nearby. "Your daughter's death led to great change," Vulak said. "Because of her, our peoples now understand each other better." Admiral Han nodded. She would have liked that. She always believed in peace. A young human officer approached. "Admiral, the first group of Valkyrie exchange students is ready for your welcome speech." Admiral Han walked with the officer toward the meeting hall. On the way, they passed Valkyrie and humans working together, studying together, talking together. "They thought they knew us," Han said to his aide. "They thought we were weak because we sought peace. They learned what every species must eventually learn. Humanity extends a hand in friendship first, but we carry a sword in the other." The aide looked puzzled. "Sir, do you regret not destroying the Valkyrie when we had the chance?" Admiral Han shook his head. "No, the true test of power is knowing when not to use it. We showed them our strength. Now we show them our wisdom." In the meeting hall, 20 young Valkyrie stood at attention. They would be the first Valkyrie to attend the Mars Military Academy, learning alongside human cadets. Admiral Han looked at their eager faces and felt hope for the future. The war had been painful. The loss of his daughter would hurt forever. But from that pain had come understanding. From conflict had come cooperation. This was humanity's greatest strength, not the power to destroy, but the wisdom to build.